All right, everybody, what's going on? Good morning. Welcome back
Yo,
to Lambdas Who Roll Live. Here with my co-hosts Fernando and Diego. What's going on,
Yo,
guys?
yo.
how's everything?
Doing good, man. How's your week been?
It's been good. What's that? Didn't get as much training as I wanted to this time around. One week I got like a little banged up, so kind of some injuries before I get back to it because I know June 4th is coming up, so I need to get some rolls in as much as possible because I know I got some killers coming after me, so I got to make sure that I show out and represent.
You got a target on your back, people coming
Yeah,
after you.
I feel like it.
Yeah, so what's up? Yeah, we got a good group of guys that have registered, and so I'm excited for that too. We've gotten a lot of positive response. I think we got about over 30, close to 35 people that have registered, and it seems to be like all levels. You guys are going to try for the first time, and then obviously the guys who've been training for a little bit. So it's going to be exciting to see how that plays out. How was your week, Diego?
It's been all right. Definitely didn't train as much as I wanted to, but work gets in the way and, keeps me
Yeah,
busy.
absolutely. I got to train. I think I put three classes in this week. Mostly because I have to teach, but I got to at least jump into a couple rounds. Well, with the teaching, you really don't get to roll as much, especially when there's like even numbers and nobody wants to step out, right? Everybody wants to just keep on going, and I'm like, come on, man, let me jump in. Got to force somebody to sit out, but at least I got to roll a couple rounds. Yesterday was pretty good. Got to roll with Jamal, who's a brown belt at Movement Lab. He did really well. It was kind of annoying to try to pass his guard because he's a little smaller than me. So we did pretty good. But overall, it was a decent week. Got to work out a little bit. So, but yeah, man. So yeah, we wanted to talk a little bit about that because, I think I would say we consider ourselves like the average jujitsu practitioner, right? I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a hobbyist. I would probably say, it's a little bit more than just a hobby. For me, I do this, routinely 3, 4 times a week for for the sake of working out, for the sake of learning, teaching. I don't see myself not being able to train jiu-jitsu, but obviously sometimes, like Diego said, things get in the way. We obviously all work full time. We have families. Other things could potentially get in the way. So we wanted to talk a little bit about the mindset of the average person and the reality that sometimes you can't get it in as much as you want, right? So, and then at the same time too, right? Like there's like times where you don't really want to train. That motivation is like, man, I just got out of work at 6 o'clock. I got to drive there, and I'm hungry. I'm tired. Oh, I woke up late. I stayed up late. So how do you push yourself past that wall and get on the mats, right? And drag yourself to a class and stuff like that. So just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about that, and then just pick your brains. And if you guys got anything, let's just bounce around ideas and just kind of lay it all out there to let people know that there is it the reality is most people are going to be the average practitioner. You often see guys who are world champions training like 3 times a day and 7 days a week, and they're beasts and stuff like that. And you know but that's not everybody, right? So I just wanted to hear your thoughts about that. Let's see, let's go around the room, and let's go start with Diego. What do you think, man?
Actually, let's start with Fernando, man, because
Okay.
I have a different perspective when it comes to training. Obviously, because of the school and the teaching and all that stuff. So, how I approach it, may be a little different. So, like, yeah, let's start off with you,
Okay.
Fernando, because of get that perspective, and then I'll
Yeah, so
jump in.
so what do you think, Fernando? How do you train? How do you like um prepare your week for training? What does it look like? What does the ideal week look for you? And then what is sometimes the reality, right? What is
Yeah.
how does it play out?
So ideally, I would like to train at least 3 to 4 times a week. Um, it was I guess it was like a little bit easier during the pandemic because like I get to work remotely.
All right.
I can go to like in the beginning what I did was I would schedule my lunch around like class time, and I would go like during the day because this way I could help out at night because I have two small children, children. I'm sorry, one 4, the other 2 years old. Like at night, like when the classes, at 8 o'clock, I couldn't really go or as much as I want to because I have to help out like trying to put the kids to sleep, like that. But now since like the schedule has kind of like changed, like as we're in the pandemic, and also too like I guess like my school is like trying to like work around that. It's like classes at 5 o'clock that I go to now. That it's like this way. It's still it's after work. I don't have to worry about my lunch anymore. But still, like I can go to class and then still come back and help with with getting the kids ready for bed. Feeding them, giving them a bath, and then putting them to sleep like our nightly routine. So that's one thing. How like that's ideally. Sometimes like because I consider myself a hobbyist. And that's why I think that this episode is so great because like I get to see like you and Diego's mindset. How do you guys balance that have that mat life balance? What is your mindset going into each training session? And so I think that's like really important.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, like, I don't have when it comes to, I get motivated because of teaching the class, obviously, right? That comes, that's why I was like, it's a little bit different. I'm kind of forced, for the most part, having to come and like open the doors and having to be here and all that. So as far as getting to the school, obviously is not always easy. That's the motivator. Obviously having to do so. In the beginning, it was a little bit tougher. Now that we have professors and coaches and students to help out, it's a huge load. I'm saying, off my shoulders. But like, so as far as the training is concerned, um, getting to the location is the easy part, because of all the responsibilities. But as far as training, sometimes, yeah, man, like, I don't want to, physically, mentally, it's not really, on the top of the list, as far as like, how I feel and what I want to do, because it's a tough class, right? It's a tough thing. You get exhausted, but when you do jump in and you do kind of get all the cobwebs off, and you feel like you kind of like just get into the whole thing, you feel a lot better, right? It kind of like you shake everything off, but um that initial crossover it is challenging, right? It's just like anything, having to wake up early. Do you want to roll out of bed? Do you want to go to work? Do you want to go work out? Whatever it is that you need to do, so you do need that. And I think having people around you, having a good group around you and motivating you, and kind of uplifting you when you're going down, and it's very, very important. So we have group chats, we have individual chats and all that, to kind of like motivate each other. So that's a big thing. Having a good community around you, and supporting you in that. So it's not easy, man. It's never the easiest decision to make. The kids motivate me too, man. I have the kids class, and coming to the class and teaching them. They've been a huge motivator, man. So I think like, whoever's out there and like looking to teach kids, and all that, like they're a game changer. They'll change the way you look at jujitsu, the way you appreciate jujitsu. And that's my thing, man. Yeah, man. I'm not a big competitor. I'm not a big, I'm saying, jujitsu guy when it comes to training every single day and all that. But when it comes to teaching, I enjoy it. I love it. The kids are definitely a great asset. You
Yeah,
know.
And
absolutely.
Diego, so what like with the kids class, what age do you think that like a child should start? And I know it's like kind of off topic, but I just want to get
Yeah, let's get it in.
4-year old who like he sees me do stuff. He asks me to show him like the arm bar and stuff like that, and that's how.
Who, your son? Your son?
Yeah, yeah. My
Yeah,
son, he's 4. Mhm.
yeah, man. honestly, like starting them early, like for example, like me starting early with the kids and like playing with them and wrestling them and all that. I don't think there's an age like a restriction on that, right? As a parent to a child or whatnot, I think that's open, man, and that's basically your own discretion. What I'm saying? I was throwing the kids up and down, what I'm saying, when they're babies, like so at the end of the day, like I think that as far as like teaching and like so introducing them to that type of like jujitsu,
Hmm.
wrestling and all that, like I think that's any age, and again, using the parents discretion. But like as far as teaching is concerned, we've started kids off at like 4, right? And
Okay.
like but we don't the way we structure it is not basically we came to the point or the realization that when you come in as a 4-year-old, you're not learning jujitsu, right? It's impossible, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it's not because you're not, you can't, but it's because kids, obviously they're different, right? So we focus on their coordination skills, their balancing skills, their their posture, little things like that. But in jujitsu, like using jujitsu moves, maybe we'll have them do triangles, do back rolls, front rolls, and but
Hmm.
that goes into all like the wrestling and judo and jujitsu and all that. So and just giving. So one thing that I'm really big on is I never deny. Um, so when a parent comes in and they're like, "Oh, my son, or my daughter, um, she's 4 years old, but she's really like 3.5, right? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So that's a huge difference when it comes to children, right? Like it's a those 6 months to a year can change, drastically. So at the end of the day, like, but we don't deny them because at the end of the day, like, if they're around the mat, then they see and they start learning by seeing as well, right? And then when they get to 4 years old, then they'll have a little bit of understanding, right? When they get to 4.5, when they get to 5, they'll see people on the mat and they'll get comfortable, right?
Hmm.
So at the end of the day, like we started out at 4. 4 to 6 is kind of like our little pandas class is what we called it. But yeah, they'll learn like or they'll continue learning or developing other skills that they naturally have, right? And getting
Okay.
comfortable with the environment. But as far as teaching jujitsu, I think 7 years old is a good number. It's a good age to start, just because they start feeling a little bit more confident in themselves as well,
The
and
cognitive
understanding
skills.
techniques.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, don't stop, man. Don't stop. Like wrestling with your kids. Like playing with them. Because even it helps you too, right? Like if you hold them, you put them on your like you lift them up with your feet, like if you're gonna do like a sweep or a throw or
Yeah.
whatnot, and those things help. You as well, right? In your stretching and your balancing and your like hand and eye coordination as well. So
Hmm.
yeah, man, don't stop that because it's only gonna help them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's interesting you mentioned that because right now the way we segue into this was just talking about finding you know different motivators, and I was going to actually add it's a little different for us because we teach and that kind of forces us on the mat,
Yeah.
but you have the opportunity also to teach your children, right? And it's and I've known of parents um, that started jujitsu but stayed in jujitsu because they wanted to teach their kids, and also kids who started jujitsu and then their parents just bringing them to the gym, and then all of a sudden the parent starts training too because they want to have something that they could connect to their kid with,
Yep.
and they become training partners and so on and so forth, and they motivate each other in that fashion, right? And for me, and then knowing that like I put my son in martial arts, not necessarily jiu-jitsu, like very early, like around 4 years old, right? So my oldest is gonna be 15, and he's technically been training since he was about 4 years old, on and off, Tansudo and Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and it's great. I mean, he's not as consistent as I want him to be, but he knows enough to defend himself. The other kids are a little bit more, connected with jujitsu, and and I'll roll with them and be able to do the moves, like Diego said, put myself in positions where you're actually applying angles and you're actually applying leverage, and obviously you're not going to go, smash them, right? But it does really help with your game, because now you have a little mini partner at home. And believe it or not, you start the fact that you can slow down a position, an angle, it really helps you see things differently. And it kind of translate over when you're actually rolling with somebody. It really, really does help. So I definitely would recommend it. And if you can get your kid into a program, or whether you get your kid into a program or not, I think you should start at least training him and teaching him certain positions. Throw the names out there. I mean, he's come to the open mat and he seemed pretty susceptible to that environment. So why not, man? I think it'd be a great thing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I agree. I think
Yeah.
like, if you can, you know, continue messing around with the kids and like again playing with them. I'm a big believer that when it comes to kids learning, like I think I mentioned before, jujitsu, judo, or wrestling, they're really big arts that already connect with the child with what they do naturally.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm biased to it, but I'm a believer that I've seen a lot of kids come and go, and again, by nature, they come in and they'll shock you, man.
Yeah.
They'll shock you with doing a double leg takedown without you even telling them what to do. Like because that's their natural what they want to do. I gotta take this kid down to the ground. How do I do it? Okay, let me just tackle him to the floor, and sometimes they do it with so much grace, man, and they shock you, man.
Yeah.
So
Are
and
you? Are
also
you?
like it helps you, man. Like if you can teach, I mean they say, right, if you can explain to like a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, or a child, what I'm saying, whatever it is that you want to teach them, it can be anything outside of jiu-jitsu or in jiu-jitsu, then that means you understand whatever it is that you're teaching, right? So that's been a big thing, Coach Fred and myself, and I'm sure we'll bring him on at one point. Coach Fred and myself, like we talk about this all the time. It has helped us with our training. um, I started off. I started the school as a blue belt, which we can probably talk about that in a different episode too, man. But like which I don't recommend, by the way. But it was the training of the kids. Because I wasn't training that often. I was going on and off. I was traveling to different schools and kind of like trying to find different things. But teaching the kids honestly kept me going, man. Like not kept me going as far as like loving jujitsu, like I enjoyed it, but as far as like being able to understand the moves and techniques, that helped me out a lot, man. Because I wasn't able to like implement, so the training and like the teaching of them was very helpful, man. And I felt like that closed the gap a little bit. Obviously I missed years of the training, the physical training, which I'm trying to make up. But at the end of the day, man, that kept me going. Help me keep understanding the moves, right, and the techniques, and finding different ways to do it and better ways. And I kind of started feeling comfortable in my jujitsu and my fundamentals and all that. So it's a game changer, man. So you're lucky to have the two boys, what I'm saying, and also have them play around, what I'm saying, mess around, like sparring with each other and all that. You'll definitely learn a thing or two.
Are they
All I gotta
wrestling?
do is just throw a toy in there, and then they'll start going out.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
funny to see them.
And now when they fight, and now when they want to fight, I tell them like, look, like you guys can fight, but just like roll. It's better. It's like at least if you're gonna fight and you're gonna beat each other up, at least do it with some grace and some technique. You know what I mean? Don't just go out there and start going crazy, man.
Yeah, it's funny, man. Your kids, I'm assuming they wrestle with each other, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. It drives my wife crazy because
The boys, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna happen,
How
bro.
often when that happens are you actually commentating or coaching in the background?
oh, like
Like Joe Rogan.
yeah, I know, right? Like like nah, but when they throw each other on the ground, a lot of times I'm like trying to separate them because like like my wife gets like frantic, I don't want them, and then they start to if one gets someone on the floor, then the other one's trying to grab something to throw it at him.
Yeah.
They start like hitting each other and stuff like that. So like a lot of times we're trying to break it up, but I will like when one throws the other, I'm like, oh, what a nice like in my mind, like, that's a nice throw, or that's a good, like, I would have done the same myself, like things like that.
Look, man. I'm every time the boys fight, man, I'm definitely like, yo, they're gonna fight, man. They're boys. But the good thing is, honestly, like if you really look at it and if you control, they're gonna do it, right? No matter what. That's what, I mean, at the end of the day, like they're just
Yeah.
boys and they're gonna fight. So, but at the end of the day, like it's really nice to see when they do have a technique. You know what I mean? When they're able to pull off a nice little sweep, a nice little throw. Obviously not hurting each other, but it gives you that like, oh man, and not because you're proud as like, oh man, they can beat anybody up, but the fact of the matter is like if it was another kid outside, God forbid, what I'm saying, like any bully
Hmm.
situation and all that stuff, there's a little bit of confidence in that as well, right? Like, okay, she can handle herself, himself, in a situation that, may not be as comfortable.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, even with the kids here, like, when we teach them and they do something that may not be the best technique, but they pull it off or whatnot, like, we try to encourage that because, at the end of the day, like, again, and obviously we teach them and like trying to control themselves, but at the end of the day, man, God forbid, again, outside, no one's going to be as, even with adults, right? No one's going to be that sweet person and, giving you that chance.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and that's my biggest fear right now as a parent of two small children, and especially like my oldest, like he's like really shy. So like kind of like how I was growing up, like super shy, timid and things like that. And then like I got bullied when I was a kid up until about second grade until like I realized like a flips like it was like one kid that was like constantly bullying me. And then one night, like a flip switched on. I was like, I'm not gonna allow this anymore. And I, approached him, fought him, and the bullying stopped after that. Because
Mm.
took
Yeah.
him down, like just wailed on him and things like that. But that's the thing. Like I'm afraid because like nothing too. Like I like to like I guess be in control, and then once they go to school, they can't. You know I don't have that control anymore. So, like like I don't know like what's going on. So like, I want to make sure that they at least have like that type of like, ability to defend themselves in the event, because I don't, like ultimately our goals as parents is to not let them, you know, go through like what we went through, like we want their lives to be like a little bit better than ours, so that's, some things that,
Yeah, absolutely. And,
and,
and we're kind of getting a little off topic because we were
yeah,
I
talking
was
about
going to say,
technique,
man,
but
we're bringing it back. Got to bring it back.
but we're talking about what's going to motivate you to train, right? And this is a great motivator, right? This is a great motivator to be able to learn tools that you could pass on to your kids. Because, like you said, Gabriel might he's probably shy, right? He's really shy, right? And he
Yep.
might not really resonate in a classroom setting because he's still developing those social skills, those interpersonal skills. Maybe a one-on-one with his dad could be a way to segue him into jujitsu. And what a great motivator for you to train, right?
Yeah.
So that's something to keep in the back of your mind. Like on those days where you're like, man, I gotta go, man. I'm tired. I'm this and that. Like, no, I gotta learn so I can pass this on to my kid. And it's interesting because I was talking to one of my students the other day on Thursday. He stayed back for a little bit, and we were talking about how beneficial this could be for the community in general in an age where, um, you know, the ability to kind of release that manly aggression, right, is there's really no avenues for it, at least that are in a positive way other than martial arts, right? And jiu-jitsu really does that. It helps you kind of like develop that or summon that inner being, right? I mean, we all want to kind of show that we're strong, right, that we're confident, and jiu-jitsu really helps you with that. And I think community in general needs that. Kids in general need that, right? We're really faced with a serious situation these last few years about this heightened or this increase in bullying and stuff like that. It's always been around, right? It's just now it's getting more publicity
Attention.
Yeah.
because of the media and social media and people filming stuff on their phones and stuff like that. But like you said, you were bullied. We were all bullied in high school. I mean, or in elementary school. I mean, Diego and I have been in plenty of fights. People, actually
Same
speaking
here.
with us and stuff, right? So it's always really been around. It just hasn't really been, announced the way it is. But to develop the tools, that should that's I think that's really a great motivator for you to find in wanting to train. You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, I mean, as far as like, yeah, I know we got a little bit off, but as far as training and like, yeah, man, I would love to be a little bit more involved in the training aspect. It's hard to separate the two. Again, when it comes to the teaching and the business and all that stuff, it is challenging in itself. Um, but yeah, man. I mean, hopefully we can get it.
Yeah.
We can. The whole thing is the continuing, right, and not
Mhm.
not having too much of a gap, because the gaps do hurt as well, right? You're off a day, you're off a week, a month goes by, and
Yeah.
now you have to pull yourself back into,
Yeah, get on the horse.
man, I gotta go back, and it's now it becomes, do you want, now it's a whole different struggle, right? You've been off, a few weeks, and if it's not because of an injury or even with an injury, like, again, it's very challenging to pull yourself back into the whole training. But yeah, man, whatever can motivate, whatever can motivate you to at least step on the mat, right? Because like I said, then a good group of people will pull you in, will allow you to enjoy the time and learn, and obviously good coaches and professors, but yeah, man.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you guys. So let's say if you didn't teach, like what those that you don't feel like going to class, you turn into a day that, what, I'm just gonna take a day off, or do you find like, well, you said you like your students are your motivation. So like in the event that you didn't have like to teach, would you just stay off the mat, or would your love of, because you say your love is through through teaching, is not actual jujitsu itself. Like how would you go about, like, I guess, pushing through without teaching, and then also to developing that love for
Yeah.
jujitsu itself?
I mean, don't get me wrong, man. I love jujitsu, man. I love, I enjoy it. I mean, I love training, but at the end of the day, like, there's other things that, also have to happen in your life or whatnot, when it comes to work and when it comes to, like, just balancing everything else that you have and whatnot. But, um, I mean, I think I would still continue to have a normal schedule, or be able to have like a set schedule where, being able to train consistently and all that. Um, but I think like morning classes or day classes, would probably be where I would feel more comfortable, if I didn't have to come in and teach or whatnot, or do the school thing or whatever. I think morning classes or day classes, because it still gives you, a good day to, basically, you did what you needed to do with jujitsu. You got that basically out of the way, type of thing, and then you're able to continue about your business. And whenever we have classes here in the morning, which I know that if I say that I've been here, like, people will kill me, but I haven't. But yeah, they're always great, right? When you train in the morning, when you get up early and you do anything for that matter, you start your day early, it's always a benefit for the rest of the day, right? You exercise, whether you go running outside, whether you go lift or do jujitsu or any class. But yeah, I think like mornings, I probably would have been, in that area, because that's how I was before doing the whole
Mhm.
school thing, was training at 11 in the morning, pretty much, a few times a week, a few times a day in the week, throughout the week. And it was always a better schedule. Night classes are a little bit tough, can't front, man. Like, night classes are a little bit tough, because you're going about your whole day, you're working 9 to 5, 9 to 6, 9 to 7, or whatever your schedule is, and then you have to come in and get beat up, what I'm saying, or do a little bit of the beating, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting, man. So, but man, at the end of the day, I feel like, you have to try your best to, um, on those days that don't feel right, like, just kind of like, just jump into the car and just start going, man. Maybe if someone who doesn't have that motivation, maybe who's someone who struggles a little bit, right? And this is, I guess, we're going into general, like, if someone who doesn't have a that motivation to go, maybe they can prepare certain things beforehand, right? If they know they're gonna meet that roadblock, right?
Mhm.
Come 6:30, come 6:15, when they have to go to 7 o'clock class, maybe they can get ready beforehand, right? Like, have your bag ready, have your everything ready in the car. just so that way it removes one thing, because once we don't have motivation, and then once we see a checklist of things that we have to do, then in our brain we're like, oh man, like, I got to do X, Y, and Z before I get to my goal. You know what? That's another, it's kind of like pushing you away. But if you already have those things checked off, and the bag is in the car, you got your water bottle already and all that stuff, I think it removes a little bit of that stress.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, and for me, so I played both roles, right? The teacher and then the student, right? Started off mostly as a student, kind of like was a teacher, then phased out when I moved up to the Baltimore area, and we didn't have the Roll Star program up here. We were doing I was going to GFT primarily, so I was in student mode. I barely teach there, maybe like one or two classes, to cover somebody. So I had to be in student mode and find the motivation to go there. And one, we mentioned the kids are a motivator, but for me, um, it was a little later in the stages, but I think for me, I've always just been interested in jujitsu or in martial arts in general. So it's a little easier to kind of try to force myself on the mat. But the days where I was like, you know what, I don't want to do it. There were two things that would happen. One, I would decide, you know what, there's a reason why I don't want to do it, whether it's a mental exhaustion or physical exhaustion. So I taught myself to listen to my body, to listen to my mind, and if there's something that's not really motivating me to push it, I don't want to get there, because I don't want to have an off day on a day that I'm already off, right? So I was like, okay, let me get a break and let me refresh, reset, kind of boot myself up again. But then there are those days where it's just like, you know what, I'm on the fence. Let me just get on there. And those are the days where I feel I do best, right? Some reason you show up and you have your best day. You did really good in your roles. You were drilling like a champ. And just the environment itself is like, wow, I was gonna miss this. I'm happy that I came. It's those things where it's just like anything, right? Just finding the reason to go. But I wanted to say, like Diego said, setting like goals, right? And for us, for people who start off, sometimes you often hear the jujitsu journey is very long. I always think that people should set incremental goals, even in life, right? You have your short term and long term goals. Same thing with jujitsu. Have your short term goals, even and it's even to the point where it's like maybe weekly. This week I want to get to the gym at least once a week. Or I want to work on this armbar setup at least twice this week, and that's going to force you to get there. Or even at least work on the dummy like we were talking about at home. But at least you're still doing something. You're moving.
just don't get hurt by the dummy.
But don't get hurt, right. Don't get right. And then another thing too, and that Diego touched upon, which is really great advice, is we got to understand our own limitations in life with regards to other responsibilities. Like we were talking earlier in this session, is the fact that we're going back to work, right? Things are opening up. We're going back to work, and those morning classes or afternoon classes you were taking advantage of are no longer gonna be there, because now you have to show up to your responsibility. But finding a gym that has those adequate hours, that's convenient for you, right? Because even if a gym is next door, but they only have classes at the worst times for you, you're like, man, I can't make it. Forget it. So finding a gym that works with your schedule, having that cohort, and something like Lambdas Who Roll, our group, really helps too, because it kind of keeps people on check, right? Oh, Fernando, you trained today? Ah, man, I didn't. All right, I'm gonna do it tomorrow. And we talk with, there's a bunch of guys on the group, and you just motivate each other, and then seeing each other's progression, right? It kind of like lights a little fire under you. You see one dude get a stripe, and you're like, man, I'm gonna work a little harder. I think that's kind of what helps you just keep on pushing, and like you said, for us, it's a little bit more than just a hobby. It's kind of like the lifestyle. I don't see myself not doing it, but I think it's a matter of finding what makes you happy, and finding that happy balance, that where you feel content with what you're doing. You know what I mean? And whether it's jujitsu, whether it's something else, that's really what it should we should boil it down to. Another thing too is another thing too is don't be afraid to take private lessons, man. I think private lessons are really great because if you can't make it to class one day or maybe a couple weeks, but you want to get back into it, talking with your professor, or another senior instructor, or even a friend that's like, yo, man, let's train on the side one on one, or let's do a private lesson. I think that's really good to help you build confidence back up and find some type of intrinsic motivation, because your coach is going to give you that personal attention, work on little details here and there that's only catered for you. I think that's also a great way to to approach your training.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to just plug in because you mentioned, the whole open mat thing, and like, for those who are coming in and just trying it out for the first time, or even just started jujitsu and are coming into the open mat on June 4th, at 7 o'clock, by the way, and we'll have more information on the site and flyer or whatnot. Um, but yeah, I mean, like, I think that's also, like I said, we always talked about having a good group of people, having people who have other things that you can relate to. Right now we have this open mat that we're putting together. We have bros who have been training, bros who are just starting, who just want to kind of check things out, or just started training and can have now another connection, which is within the fraternity, and share that experience. But there's been brothers who, with the open mat, they started training jujitsu, or they continue to train jujitsu because of it. So again, I think, like, finding, like, Jay said, like, finding a good school, convenient school, good schedule, and also, a good group of people. Very important that you find that connection, because there's going to be things that don't relate to you when it comes to jujitsu itself. I trained at a school that, um, it was beautiful training, but there was no connection afterwards. And it just felt like pulling teeth when having to, like, find the next rolling partner or whatnot, and it kind of stops you a little bit from progressing. So yeah, for those who are coming in for the first time, you know we're hoping that you guys do come in with, like, my brother said, as far as asking questions and feeling comfortable. And I think we were gonna share, like, what they should do or what they should bring.
Absolutely.
I think, Jay, you were right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and so obviously, if you've been training jujitsu, bring your gi, bring your no gi gear, your rash guard, and your board shorts and stuff like that. But if you've never trained before and you don't really own any of that, a pair of shorts, t-shirt, obviously is good. You can come with a pair of sweats, perfectly fine. Something that you're gonna feel comfortable and typically that you would use at a gym. Just don't come with like a little tank top that's like showing muscles and stuff like that, like you're about to go lift. But yeah, man, just a regular t-shirt, and we have we're working on a couple things to get ready for that event and have a little bit of a little gift for everybody that has signed up. But yeah, man, that's it really. Towel, water. We'll probably have water there, so you don't have to really sweat too much about that. But something that you're gonna feel comfortable and ready to learn.
Yeah. So I mean, very excited for that day. I think it's gonna be, I think, like we said, we have over 30 bros signed up, and very excited to meet everybody. But as far as this whole conversation and topic is concerned, as far as training, whether you're a top level competitor, and or whether you're, you know, uh, someone who doesn't have that schedule and has that 9 to 5. I mean, I think jujitsu can work for everyone. I think that just finding conveniences for yourself, to help you continue being consistent. We always, I mean, training 2 to 3 times a week is ideal, or is the best advice, I guess, for that matter. But I think, like, even being consistent with, I hate to say this, to be honest with you, but like, I know Professor Omar may kill me, but like, even if it's a one time a week, but you're consistent, and that gets you to maybe 2 times, and that gets you to 3 times. I just think that consistency is very important. Small things that you can accomplish, hopefully getting you better and better. So yeah, I mean, looking forward to it, and yeah, man.
Yeah. Fernando, when's the next time you're looking to train, man?
I'm so my wrist and my thumb are actually feeling a lot better.
Yeah.
They're gonna be going in Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. I'm gonna try to hit up Saturday class. Well, maybe Friday too, because Friday's like kind of a light day for me work wise. Like I don't have that many meetings. And then Saturdays is kind of tough because it conflicts with like my son, because I take him to soccer, and it ends at 10:30 and classes start at 10:30. So
Yeah.
I go home, I mean, I could show up late, but I don't like to, because I feel like, well, like if you guys can touch base, like as a professor, when you're teaching a class and all of a sudden a student shows up and maybe like a half hour late into the class, like,
Yeah.
Like away from your teaching, is it a distraction? Like,
I think if you could communicate that, like if a student comes up to me and says, "Hey, listen, professor, I wanna attend your Saturday classes, but I have my kid's soccer finishes at 10:30. I won't be there till 11:30. Would that be okay?" Yeah, no problem. So when you come in, there's no issues, right? I'm not even thinking about it. But if that doesn't work for your schedule, then you find other ways, and it sounds like you're already doing that, which is great, But I think communication is key, and honestly, even communication with with your significant other, because sometimes they want you home, like, man, hey, you got to do this, like you mentioned earlier, you have a routine of putting the kids to sleep, but you got to find also a time for yourself to go and train. And for me, I know in the beginning it was really like letting my wife know that this is the schedule, this is what I'm going to be on, and that way, okay, there's expectations are set. So that's one thing too, to approach the training day, is really like communicating with those people that are in your immediate circle, setting the expectations so that you can have that ability to go without worrying about anything else, right? Nothing else is blocking you. Like, changing the baby's diaper is like, the last thing you want to think about as you're walking out the door. You want to make sure you get that all out of the way, or at least be like, hey, on Tuesdays I have class at 7. I'm leaving at 6:30 or 6:15. Don't ask me to change the diaper at that time, but I'll change it Mondays and Wednesdays when I'm home, something like that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one thing too, is setting just expectations so that you don't have any other outside blockers to prevent you from training, And what Diego said was really great advice, man, is put your bag in the car, man, so that you see it like on a day where you finish work and you're like, man, yeah, I gotta go train, and put the belt.
Fernando, put your bag in your car now, so that June 4th you're not over here like, for
June 3rd. He's like, you go.
I can't find my belt.
We got a blue belt, extra blue belt. We got an extra belt at the gym just for you, man.
I feel it coming. I feel the
No, I'll be there.
No, you better be, man. We got these, we got belts, we got rash guards. There's nothing. You want MMA shorts? We got it.
I'm like, oh, my mouth guard. Oh, I can't find it.
Bro, I'll give you mine. I throw mine in your mouth.
My thumb hurts, yo. I'll tape up your thumb. I'll tape up your wrist. You'll be good to go, man.
Real, man.
But yeah, man, it's gonna be. I think that's gonna be a fun session, man. I think it'll be a good time. I'm excited to meet a lot of people, because there's a lot of people on that list that I don't even know who they are. So it's gonna be a great opportunity to bond, to meet new faces, and we'll see how that goes.
And it's good too, because like my chapter brothers are gonna be there as well. Gerard and Anthony or Uno. So I haven't seen them. I want to. Well, Gerard's been a long time. Anthony probably since like my line brother's wedding, like a couple years ago. So it's like good to see them. Like even though like we touch base like through text and Instagram, but like to be around them, in this environment, it should be, a lot of fun. I'm looking forward.
Excited. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So let's just break for like a few seconds for a little quick commercial break. Then we'll come back, final words, and we'll wrap it up. Sounds good? All right, here we go.
Let's get it.
All right, guys. So final words. We're wrapping this one up. Talked about training day. We got a little off topic, but I think we brought in a lot of good content that does make sense to how we approach as dads, as professionals. You know, all those outside things that happen in our daily lives to kind of approach. How do we approach that average Joe, average Jiu-Jitsu Joe training day? So Fernando, last couple words. What you got?
Well, one, I want to wish my team, the New York Knicks, good luck today. Starting today, we're in the playoffs for the first time in 8 years, so I'll be glued to the TV tonight watching that. Also want to give a shout out to Roll Star, Rolosophy, anybody, make sure you like, subscribe. Also want to shout out my school, Capital MMA. We're doing some great things over there. Like I'm learning a lot, enjoying the classes, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the open mat June 4th. Looking forward to meeting as many hermanos, some that I've known for years, and then some that I've never met before. So it's a great opportunity. I'm looking forward to it, and yeah, that's it. Yeah.
D, anything else?
All right. No, man, shout out to everyone training jiu-jitsu and everybody looking to start, and hopefully looking forward to June 4th as well, and to all the bros who are thinking about coming through and trying it out. Looking forward to meeting everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And I can't touch enough on the excitement that we all have for that event. This one seems very big. I mean, with the push, the social media push, the talk about it. We're getting some good feedback. And another thing too to mention, if you haven't checked our Instagram page, go ahead, go check it out. Lambdas Who Roll at the Instagram on our Instagram page. We have released the link for the pre-order on the rash guards. I know a lot of people expressed interest in the rash guards. We have 2 designs available. Put in the order now. I think we're trying to close that off probably within the next week or so that we can put in the order and get everything in fairly quickly. So take advantage of that. Hit me up on DM for the discount code. But that's it, man. Thank you guys for sharing some the morning with us again, talking about some good stuff, and we'll be back next week with a special guest. So with that, we'll sign off, and we'll see each other next week. Cool.
Yes,
All right.
All right, para siempre, yo.
Para siempre.
Os.